Hi, and welcome to my garden. My name is Stephanie, and I just want to share a little bit about our love for gardening. My husband is behind the camera.
Hello.
And we are just amateur gardeners in the middle of suburbia, in the middle of our neighborhood, and we're just trying to make our own little sanctuary out of what we got. So we would love to document this for ourselves because we love to experiment and do different projects, but also we'd like to share it with everybody else to maybe inspire and just show people you can, if we can do it, you can do it. So anyway, I want to start out by talking about one of our first loves of flowers, and that is the clematis. And we've got like 7 of them, so we want to show them to you. And the first one we're going to show you is this really beautiful one that's behind me, and now around the side he is. And this one is called the Etoile de Violette clematis. And so it is a dark purple bloom that comes up, and it grows up to 10 to 15 feet. It says on the internet about how big it grows, and as you can see, what we've done to allow it to grow very far up is we put it chicken wire. We've made our own trellis over our drain pipes or whatever, or water drain pipes.
Yeah, I go try and show a little bit.
Yeah, I'll show a close up of that, how we built chicken wire around it to allow this to climb up the side of our house, so it just looks like it's like growing all the way up.
I'll grow up. You grow up.
Our 2-story home here, and it looks awesome. We've gotten compliments from our neighbors because how have we let this grow up so big. So anyway, it's awesome. It is zones 4 through 11, so it's very hardy. And what you do with clematises, you want to have the heads in the sun. They love a lot of sun on their heads, but they don't love it on the roots. So you always want to shade their roots in order to keep the roots cooler. And what we've done to do that is we have a companion plant, and we're using a rose bush here in order to shade the roots for a companion plant here. And we've noticed that roses do a wonderful job being companions for the clematises. And as you can see, the clematis is growing through the rose plant, so that's just making that much prettier. So the next clematis we have that we want to talk about is one of the ones we got about the same time as that purple one. It's called Duchess of Edinburgh, and we've got it right here. Now it blooms early spring, so it's already done its blooming and it's already done. So we don't have any blooms to show you, but they are beautiful. They get big white double blooms on this one. And this one gets up to, I'm having to look here, 8 to 12 feet long. So again, what we've done is we've done the chicken wire on our rain gutters so that we can have it climb all the way up here. So anyway, this, like I said, this is early spring blooming, so it's already done its blooming. It's done. I've deadheaded it. And with this one, this is a type 2 pruning, so that's why I've just deadheaded it and cut off the blooms, because you do not want to completely cut it down when they're type 2 because that means they grow on old wood. So we've done that. So
one thing about the blooms is that it'll bloom for about a good 2 weeks. The other clematis we showed you earlier would bloom a lot longer, but that's part of the trade-off. But it's really, really showy when it does bloom.
Yes, the dark purple one will bloom probably on and off all summer. This is the first flush, so it's the best flush of blooms. This one you get one and you're done. And then it's kind of rough, but it's very, very impressive and it's beautiful when it happens. So it's fun to enjoy and always look forward to the next year. But one thing we decided to do this year is to kind of help that problem, is that we decided to put a new clematis in here, and we put it on the side. And this one is called Silver Falls clematis. I don't know if I'm in the way.
I'll go get in there. But
we've got one bloom. It's very new, very much a baby.
A baby
Of a clematis right now, but we hope that this one will kind of grow up. It blooms a little later than this one, probably more late spring into early summer it starts blooming. And so we hope this one will grow up here and kind of fill in that gap. We have this one blooming early spring, and then we'll have this one blooming later spring.
And fill in those gaps that we
just
see.
fill in that gap. So we always have something blooming here. And that one gets a little shorter. I think this one is about 8 to 9 feet tall, but it'll be tall enough to do what we want it to do. Also, with this one is a little different in that it doesn't have to be in full sun. Like this one, I said that the clematis likes their head in the sun all the time. Well, this one is very rare one that can grow in the shade. It doesn't always need to be in the sun. So we thought that was really a neat thing about that clematis that made us kind of want to get it and try this one out.
Yeah, again, that Silver Moon is the one that loves the shade.
Yes, Silver Moon loves the shade.
And the Duchess of Edinburgh is though.
Big white double blooms that bloom awesome for you in the sun in early spring. So you get a spring. That's a good spring thing if you need something blooming right at the beginning of spring.
And then we also paired it up because
yes,
we found success with companion plants, getting those roots cold and in the shade and no sun on the near that soil. So we paired it up with a spirea.
This is a gold flame spirea. If you know, we put in the we've been really successful with this spirea being here. We got it just last year. It looks great this year and doing a great job shading those roots. So this next clematis is a little different than the other ones we just showed you because the blooms are just a little bit different. This one is called Betty Corning, and love that it is different. It has these blooms are like small little bell-shaped, soft lavender colored kind of blooms. So they come down like a little bells, and that's fun to see. This one also, we've got an actual regular trellis in our backyard. So we have like a trellis that we just put it on, and it's gone kind of wild, and that's fine with us. If you wanted to make it more straight up and down, you can. You can make it as tight as you want. We've kind of let this gun go a little crazy. So this one probably gets about 5 to 6 feet, so it is a little shorter of one. And it started blooming for us probably in the spring. I would just say springtime. It starts blooming and it'll keep blooming all through the summer. So this one is just truly a prolific bloomer that you will just keep seeing these the purple bells all season long, so till fall.
Yeah, and at dusk those colors really seem to glow at almost towards evening, so we really like that too. But it's probably our most consistent bloomer throughout the season. Blooms the most and the longest than any other one we have.
Yes, it does. And again, we love the companion planting. I know there's another way. People also say you can just really mulch up the bottoms of the plants too to keep their roots cool. We have found companion planting being the best for us. That works for us the best. So we've also put another rose bush, this is a double knockout yellow rose bush that we put with this clematis. So that's worked out well. So the next clematis we're going to show you is a new one to us as well, and we're excited to see the growth of it this year and see what it does. But this one is called Still Waters by Proven Winners. I think we've seen one bloom this year, but it's just doing a lot of growing right now, and we've got a bud on it right now. So we're about to see another bloom, and I'm really excited for it. It's going to be like an icy blue, big, large bloom, and it's going to have red stamens in the middle. So it's a very pretty flower.
I feel pretty.
And it gets about 4 to 7 feet or 5 to 7 feet. I think 7 feet I think is the max of it that it'll get. And what we've done here, it looks probably kind of weird, but what we were trying to do here, like we like to experiment and try new things, is we would put in black elderberry here, and we got them both very young at the same time. So the black elderberry hasn't done too much. I think we've had our dogs break a couple limbs last year, so we're hoping to see this do more growth in the future, and that this will end up growing through the big black elderberry, because these are supposed to get like 8 to 10 feet tall. But in the meantime, what I did was I put this here so that the clematis did have something to grow up through, and it's doing a great job of doing that. It found it, and it's growing right through it. So this one I think is a zone 5. The other clematises I've showed you about zone 4, so this goes to zone 5 for you. But it's really pretty. It's supposed to bloom a lot. I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, it's our experiment. We'll see if it takes shape, but that black elderberry and those colors should really contrast and complement each other, and they should get about the same height and everything. So our vision, it'll look really good, but it might take us several years to get there.
And we can update as it goes along if it works out, and just ignore messiness right now around this area. We're always in progress.
Always making messes.
Yep. Okay. And the next clematis we have is called the Clematises de Shot, and this was just in its second year. So anyway, here it is. It is a more pink flower that it gets, and we do have blooms already this year. And this should continue blooming throughout the summer as well. It's got lots of little buds we keep seeing on it as it's climbing up this trellis that we have just in our backyard. It should get 6 to 10 feet. It can get anyway. This is obviously not that tall. And it is a zone 4 through 9. And also this is a pruning group 3, which you can hard prune this one every year and it'll come back. And the last one I talked about, the proven winners one, also is a group 3. I don't think I said that. So, which means you can hard prune. Those are the easiest when you can hard prune them, because you don't have to, if you prune it, you're not scared that you did anything harm to it, that you didn't ruin it. So that's always great to have. So, right, so go ahead.
Well, one of the things, this trellis is definitely not ideal for clematises. They don't like these big flat things to try to wrap around. They actually really struggle with it. They like that chicken wire is almost like the perfect width for them to circle around and climb up on. So for this plant, it's struggling a little bit. If you look really closely, there's some things it does wrap around a little bit, but most of the time we have to come through and kind of guide it and work its way up, because by itself it would really struggle and kind of collapse on itself. So I wouldn't recommend anything like this for a clematis unless you're giving it some attention frequently.
Can you train it? Yeah, and that's something we haven't talked about really, is training the clematises to go up what you've put them on, I guess. Right, so the chicken wire we haven't seen. We had to train it a whole lot. Maybe once in a while we kind of see a tendril and we push it through a little bit, right? And then it goes on along its way.
Yeah, if you give it opportunity to climb up, it will climb up and do fine if it's that close. With this one, it will get sideways and off balance. And
this went clear over here, and now it's trying to get around over here. But we'll get it back going up.
Yeah, it still does the job. You just have to pay more attention to it.
Probably just move this now around.
Yeah,
so it's more towards the center, and it will climb up.
Yep.
So there you go.
There's that one.
All right. Well, last but not least, this is the Rigucci clematis, and this is one of our real favorites because it's very different from any other clematis you will really see ever. It's got very dark purple blooms, and they get these bell-shaped, I guess, flowers. Again, they are bell-shaped, but it is still different from our other one that was bell-shaped. But they're very dark, dramatic flowers, and it's a very vigorous vine. It grows really fast and it starts blooming quickly. We saw this in spring for us here. We're in zone 6B, just a reminder. We saw this in spring start blooming, and it's going to keep blooming and blooming and blooming its head off until the fall. So, in what I've read about this one, it is the most blooming clematis you could ever have. It blooms the most. And also, all the pollinators love this one. The hummingbirds,
yeah, we've seen hummingbirds around it.
Hummingbirds come to our yard, and the butterflies come to our yard with this. You know, any of the bees, any of the pollinators love it, and we love it as well. So this can get 6 to 9 feet. It is a 4 through 9 zone as well, and just a favorite for us. So.
Yeah, and this trellis is kind of obviously not ideal.
Yeah,
it's the same problem we had before, and you can see that's kind of going crazy. But this really want to keep climbing, and it doesn't have, I mean, it's still going up, but that's about the height that would be at the very top. So we still have to kind of guide like this little guy that's going way out and push it back in. to keep it from like collapsing and getting all crazy on itself. Whoops.
There we go.
So you just kind of have to do that every once in a while to keep it going straight up. If not, it'll go like that Betty Corning, kind of just go everywhere and just be. But you know,
crazy.
it's whatever you like.
Because I think sometimes it's fun to have ones that kind of go crazy, and you have some areas it's kind of, I don't know, just
More formal.
fun, and then more formal type areas that you have this. And we kind of have this in the back of our yard, and we do have it a little more formalish this way in structure. So I like this one going straight up.
All right, Ragucci.
You're Gucci. All right, well, thanks for coming on our tour of our clematises with us. Just so you know, we're not, like you said again, we're not experts, we're amateurs, but I'm just going to tell you what works for us. When I talk about the pruning of the clematises, don't worry, don't stress about it too much. If in doubt, don't prune. That would be the greatest thing you could tell yourself. We haven't pruned any one of our clematises at all, even though some of them say too hard prune back every year, and they still come out beautiful. This is one that does say that. So anyway, we'll probably try that with this one this year, but don't worry too much about that. Also wanted to say we do fertilize them. What we have used that works for us well is called Maxi, and we've used that for fertilization for these clematises. Basically do it when they start growing at the beginning of the spring, and then I'll do it a little bit in the middle of the season. And that's about what I do. So thanks for watching us. I hope to see you again soon. And